Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
Before we begin, let me know where you're tuning in from down in the comments. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next tale. I remember a time not too long ago when Kiara and I laughed easily together about her amusing clients, my unpredictable shifts at the superstore, even the silly mishaps we'd share while grocery shopping. Our marriage felt anchored by routine comfort and the warm sense that, in each other, we had found our place in the world. Yet lately, an invisible barrier has crept between us, drifting in as quietly as a dusk wind. I find myself watching her more often, looking for something I can't quite name. We still live in the same house, our first home, but something's changed. In the mornings, Kiara used to rise with me just to sip coffee and share a few peaceful minutes before my midday errands. Now she rushes out earlier than usual, claiming back-to-back property showings. At first, I chalked it up to her ambition. She's always wanted to top her agency's sales charts. But then came the fancy new Mercedes, abruptly leased despite our plans to keep expenses low. The day she drove it home, beaming, I felt a tug in my chest. We'd saved aggressively for years, determined to secure a real foothold in life. We talked about children, a bigger place one day, so why blow thousands on a flashy car? I tried to be supportive. Wow, that's a big step up, I managed, patting the sleek hood while Kiara rattled on about how an upscale image helps in real estate. Honestly, I wanted to be happy for her. Our finances had been stable enough, so perhaps I was overthinking it. Still, I couldn't ignore a small pang of unease. Something felt off, as though Kiara was maneuvering in ways I no longer understood. Her talk of dressing for success ramped up around the same time. Kiara's always been stylish, but she'd begun investing in outrageously expensive suits, shoes, and handbags, sometimes brand new pieces arriving each week. That sense of shared budgeting we once had? Gone. I'd see the credit card bill with alarmingly high totals from boutiques. She'd wave off my worries with a breezy, "The more upscale I look, the better for both of us, Alistair. Trust me." Nights became a different story. Before, she used to call me at my store around 7 o'clock or 8 p.m. if she was working late just to chat, to see how I was holding up. We'd share small, intimate details of our day that made the hour feel less lonely. Now she calls less, arrives home late, glances at me with distracted eyes, and says something like, "There was a last-minute showing," or "Boss needed me to finalize an offer." Her phone seems glued to her hand, snatching her attention with silent notifications she claims are from interested buyers. In bed, she drifts to sleep sooner than I do, or claims exhaustion from the day's hustle. We haven't been physically distant for so long that I'm unsure how to process it. Part of me tries to reassure myself real estate is cyclical, so maybe she's just caught in a wave of high-stress closings. Yet each time her phone buzzes after midnight, a suspicious flicker stirs in my gut. Then came that small but telling moment. She thanked me offhandedly for ironing her blouse, but I hadn't. I'd been dead tired the previous night and never got around to any chores. When I told her, she blinked in confusion, recovered quickly, then said, "Oh, sorry, my mind's all over the place. Must have been me. I'm exhausted." It was an innocent slip. Or was it? She'd always known exactly who did what around the house. We used to tease each other about which one of us was the official laundry master. Now her daily life was a tapestry of vague stories and half-explained details. Everything I see points to a new distance. From small financial decisions made in isolation to times she disappears into the yard to take phone calls she claims are from nervous clients. Yet I can't pinpoint any single monstrous clue that proves wrongdoing, just a swarm of incongruities that keep me awake at night. By nature, I'm not a suspicious or jealous man. Kiara and I have had spats before, mostly about her increasingly lavish spending. But this is different. This feels like a puzzle with missing pieces, like I'm glimpsing only slivers of her days, while she's carefully editing out the rest. One part of me wonders if she's in some kind of financial trouble. Maybe she's racked up debt for her real estate deals. Another part of me questions if she's simply chasing success too hard, letting it overshadow our time together. And then a darker, more unsettling part suspects an emotional wedge I hadn't considered before. A few nights ago, while I rinsed a pot in the kitchen sink, Kiara took an incoming call from her boss. Dominic, someone I've met just a handful of times at holiday work parties. She lowered her voice, shifting into the next room, but her tone sounded oddly personal. I strained to hear. Nothing distinct, just quiet murmurings, a small laugh, maybe a playful tone. She ended the call quickly when I stepped closer, offering me a bright smile. "Just tying up a late deal," she said, then changed the subject to the next day's errands. I told myself not to overreact. She's free to have a pleasant relationship with her manager. Still, the knot in my stomach refused to dissolve. My concerns might be mild for some couples, but for us, it's monumental. We used to tease each other that we were boringly honest. We'd literally recite each day's events to the other, no matter how trivial. The new secrecy rattles me. Tonight, she returned home wearing a tailored suit that must have cost a small fortune. She breezed in with a polite nod, said something about an early morning showing, and headed upstairs to shower. I lingered in the hallway, wrestling with frustration. Why couldn't she share a basic detail? Whose property? What client? Instead, everything's a blur. It makes me question if our togetherness was always so fragile. I'm not ready to accuse or confront. Even suspecting Kiara of something beyond a professional boundary feels disloyal to the trust we once cherished. But more than once, the thought, "Is there someone else?" has tiptoed into my mind, and I hate myself for it. I've decided to watch and wait. Maybe I'll find proof that it's all innocent, that the big money and extended hours are simply her new normal. Still, an instinct inside me warns something is changing. And as I sit here, typing out these thoughts after midnight, I realize how alone I feel in the place that used to be our sanctuary. The air has never felt so cold, and Kiara's presence sleeping upstairs, door closed, has never seemed so distant. I close my laptop. My heart is uneasy, caught between hope that we can fix whatever's broken and dread that something precious might already be lost. Tomorrow, I tell myself, I'll talk to her. But deep down, an internal voice whispers that casual conversations won't be enough. If Kiara's drifting away, I need real answers, and I'm terrified of what I might learn if I ask the questions outright. I start my day with a quiet determination. I'll give Kiara the benefit of the doubt, but pay closer attention to the patterns emerging. Not because I want to catch her in a lie, necessarily, but because the truth, whatever it is better than this gnawing uncertainty. By noon, I'm sipping coffee on our back porch, scanning my phone for work emails, when Kiara strides out with her cell pressed to her ear. She gives me a quick wave, mouthed, "Sorry," then tips inside, closing the sliding door behind her to continue the conversation in private. This isn't unusual. Realtors do handle constant calls, yet there's a renewed stealth in how she does it. I can't recall the last time she openly chatted with a client in front of me. At 2:30 p.m., I hop in my old sedan and head to the superstore. My shift runs from 4 p.m. to midnight, Wednesday through Sunday. Usually, Kiara's big showings or open houses peak on weekends, too, meaning we once had at least Monday and Tuesday nights together. Lately, she claims the agency's short-staffed, so she's picking up extra showings on weekdays. Our schedules, once a bit complementary, are now wholly at odds. It's as though someone designed them to prevent us from having dinner together, from merging each other's daily rhythms in the way we used to. I arrive at the superstore and greet the day shift manager before punching in. The hours crawl under fluorescent lights and echoing announcements, but I maintain a professional face. It's not as if I want to broadcast my personal turmoil. By 6 p.m., I'm on an aisle reorganization spree, rotating perishable items and fielding a coworker's question about restocking policies, all while glancing at my phone to see if Kiara has texted me. Nothing. Usually, she'd have called or texted a bit by now, maybe complaining about a difficult client or celebrating a big sale. Silence stings. Then, around 7:30 p.m., my phone buzzes. For a split second, my chest tightens. Maybe it's Kiara, but the screen shows Owen, an old colleague who's now working in another branch. We chat briefly about a managerial conference next month. I try to sound normal, but he picks up on my tension. "You okay, Alistair?" Owen asks. "Just busy, man," I hedge. "Adjusting to life, you know. Call me if you need an ear," he says. "I've been down that road." His words linger after I hang up. Owen's gone through a tough divorce triggered by his wife's cheating. I recall how shattered he'd been, how he'd confided in me about noticing small shifts in his ex's behavior long before the truth surfaced. I pushed the thought aside, determined not to overreact or project someone else's experience onto my own. Closing duties start by 11:30 p.m. While I'm handling a discrepancy in a register's balance, my phone vibrates again, this time from Kiara. She's only calling now near the end of my shift. "Hey," I answer, doing my best to keep my voice even. "Long day," she says, sounding distracted. "I just got home. Missed you." "You sound tired," I say, heart clenching at the familiarity of her voice, a tone I used to find reassuring. "Yeah, it was busy," Kiara breathes, then lowers her voice. "Let's talk more tomorrow, okay? I've got a morning showing." "Sure," I whisper, a resignation creeping in. "Get some rest." Back at home, close to 12:30 a.m., I slip my key in the lock. The house is silent, lights off except for a small lamp in the hallway. Kiara's Mercedes is parked neatly in the driveway. Inside, I head to the living room, scanning for any sign she's awake. Nothing. I check the kitchen. A half-eaten salad in the sink, an empty wine glass. She really did come home late. I climb the stairs quietly, push open our bedroom door. She's asleep, face buried in pillows, phone on the nightstand. For a moment, I feel relief seeing her safe at home, not wanting to dwell on the day's questions. I set my alarm, ignoring the faint flicker of suspicion that lingers. In the dim glow, I watch Kiara for a second, her breathing slow, the gentle rise and fall of her back. I convince myself to let it go for now. 2 days pass much the same way. She's out most mornings, I work afternoons and nights. When we do see each other, conversation is superficial. "Let's order Thai," or "I might need new business cards." We're scheduling ourselves as if we live parallel lives. Then, on a Sunday night, an event I've come to call the spilled soda incident shatters my last illusions. The store is short-staffed, so I'm rotating in front to help near the registers. Feeling parched, I buy a cold soda from the cooler, pop the cap on my way to the office, and set it down. Reaching for a coworker's timesheet, I accidentally knock it over, drenching my pant leg. It's silly, but the big wet patch looks alarmingly like I've had an accident. No way can I continue with the rest of my shift looking like that. It's 9 p.m. close enough to finishing, but still 3 hours left. I reason I can dash home, change, and return quickly. The new house we bought is just 10 minutes away. I inform the lead cashier to cover me. I'm gone by 9:05, driving a bit faster than usual. The neighborhood streets are quiet. In my head, I imagine Kiara probably dozing on the couch or finishing emails in bed. I decide to park in the driveway, not wanting to startle her with the garage door. Once inside, I notice how dark the living room is. Not even a TV glow. Must be in the bedroom, I think. Tiptoeing upstairs, I find our bedroom door ajar. I flick on a small table lamp. The bed? It's made, untouched. She's not under the blankets, not even a hint of a tossed sheet. I call softly, "Kiara?" No response. A mild panic sets in. The place is silent. I check the guest room, glance into the bathroom. Empty. The garage reveals her Mercedes is also gone. My heart pounds faster. Maybe she had an emergency. Could she be at a 24-hour pharmacy? I reach for my phone and dial. She picks up after a few rings, voice husky like she's been asleep. "Hey," she mutters. "What are you up to?" I force a neutral tone. She sighs. "I'm in bed, obviously. Told you I was exhausted. You need something?" My stomach flips. She's blatantly lying. If she were truly home, I'd see her. I can't confront her directly yet. No, I say softly, mind racing. "Just wanted to say goodnight." She breathes out in mild annoyance. "Let's talk tomorrow." I was just drifting off. After hanging up, I stare at the phone in my hand, waves of betrayal slowly sinking in. My head spins with questions. Where is she? If not in our house like she claimed, why would she so effortlessly lie? I step into the bedroom, switch off the lamp, and sit on the edge of the bed, alone. For the remaining hours of my shift, I'm numb. I eventually change into dry pants, return to the store, but my mind is locked on Kiara's deception. The confrontation with reality has begun, and the quiet dread inside me is turning into a fierce need to uncover the truth. Monday morning should feel like a respite my day off, but I wake up unrested, replaying Kiara's lie over and over. I tiptoe around, noticing everything in the house that might give me clues. Nothing stands out except her phone charger's still in the bedroom, plugged in as usual. Could she have used a different charger somewhere else last night? My head is swirling with speculation. Around 10 a.m., Kiara reappears. She moves quietly through the front door with a paper bag from a local bakery. She freezes when she sees me fully dressed, sitting on the couch as if waiting. "You're up early," she says, trying for casual cheer, but her voice wobbles ever so slightly. "Couldn't sleep," I reply, my eyes fixed on her. She sets the pastry bag down on the kitchen counter without meeting my gaze. We stand in awkward silence. It's almost funny how unprepared we both are to address the obvious question. Where was she? I decide to test the waters. "I thought you went to bed early last night," I say, my tone carefully neutral. She keeps her back turned, fiddling with coffee mugs. "I did. Couldn't sleep either. Drove out to the store to get something. Ended up grabbing these pastries." My chest tightens. Another shaky story. Instead of confronting her, I just nod and murmur, "Thanks for breakfast." Then walk away to the bedroom, adrenaline buzzing through my veins. Sitting on the edge of my bed, I recall the phone's location tracking app Kiara and I installed long ago for safety. We rarely used it, but last night, in my desperation, I opened it to see her location was across town at an address I didn't recognize. I typed the address into a map search. It was a small, furnished rental property Kiara's agency was listing for out-of-state owners. The fact that she'd go there late at night means it's not just a place to meet clients. Something else is happening, something she's hiding. All day, Kiara pretends normalcy, talking about a house she's showing, texting someone she identifies as the office. But I sense her forced brightness. She's aware that I might be suspicious, yet she's not ready to offer an explanation. I, too, remain silent, feeling almost nauseous with the tension between us. That afternoon, while Kiara's out, I examine our phone records. I'm not proud of this invasion, but I'm desperate for clarity. A repeated number stands out: Dominic's, her boss. He's calling her constantly at all hours, or she's calling him. More than any normal work relationship would warrant. My pulse quickens and something ugly roils in my gut. I recall how she used to mention him with respect, claiming he was the best mentor she'd ever had, but mentorship rarely requires so many nighttime calls. I also examine a few bank statements. There are unaccounted for withdrawals from her separate checking account, some of them suspiciously matching the nights she was working late. The amounts aren't huge, but they're consistent. Where is that money going? By the time early evening arrives, I'm wound so tight I consider a direct confrontation. But I hesitate, haunted by the possibility that if she's cheating, she'll just twist the narrative or go deeper underground. I can't approach her empty-handed. I need something indisputable, a truth that can't be explained away. That resolve grows as I head to my shift the next day. My manager sees my distracted demeanor, but I brush off his concerns, claiming a headache. In a dim hallway behind the store, I finally decide I'll contact Benito, the store's security consultant, who once mentioned he knew a reputable private investigator. I step outside the store on my short break. The sun is setting, sky tinted pink. Benito answers on the second ring. "Hey, Alistair," he greets casually. "Everything okay at the store?" I exhale slowly. "Store's fine. This is personal. You mentioned a private investigator once. Think you can put me in touch?" Benito doesn't pry. "Sure. Her name's Anita. She's top-notch. You want me to call her, or do you want her number?" I close my eyes briefly, feeling both guilty and determined. "I'll take the number. I appreciate it." That night, after midnight, I sit in my parked car for a few minutes before driving home. The city lights haze in the distance, offering me no comfort. I dial Anita. She answers with a crisp, businesslike tone. We speak for a moment, and I sense her efficiency. I outline the suspicious circumstances, making sure not to mention the heavier accusations, just that I suspect dishonesty and need clarity. She says she can start as soon as I pay a retainer. Fine. I'm ready to do anything for peace of mind. Back home, Kiara's again either asleep or pretending to be. Her cell phone is turned face down on the nightstand. I wonder if she's just gotten home. My suspicions roil, yet I manage to quell the urge to pick up her phone. Instead, I retreat to the sofa, my mind racing with the heavy knowledge of what tomorrow might bring. The next morning, Kiara hardly looks me in the eye as I quietly brew coffee. Each swirl of the spoon in my mug feels like a countdown to something irreversible. By midday, I text Anita from the store, giving her Kiara's full name, the address of the rental house, and Dominic's name. Anita replies swiftly, "Understood. Surveillance will begin ASAP. We'll keep you updated." There's a subtle sense of relief in outsourcing this. I don't have to guess or scour phone records alone. Someone with real expertise will gather the data. Of course, it also chills me. What if Anita confirms every one of my worst fears? Despite my internal turmoil, I find a strange calm in the idea that soon I'll have answers, no matter how painful. At break time, I walk through the superstore's wide aisles, remembering Kiara's words from earlier in our marriage. "It's you and me, building a future, no secrets." I once believed that wholeheartedly. I want so badly for there to be some benign explanation. Maybe Dominic's just a pushy boss. Maybe the late-night meetings are about a big sale. But the memory of her lying on the phone, claiming to be in bed when she clearly wasn't, plays on a loop in my head. It's the intangible heartbreak of being told a false story in real time. Returning home that evening, I find Kiara finishing a phone call in the living room. She sets her phone aside, turning to me with a mild smile. "Long shift?" she asks, reaching out to rub my arm briefly. The gesture feels forced. I swallow my questions, replying, "Yeah, a bit. Need some rest." She nods, as if relieved I haven't unleashed an interrogation. "I might step out for a bit. There's a property I have to check." My chest feels tight. Another property. Another half-answer. "Sure," I say, heading upstairs. In the bedroom, I hear the front door click shut. I close my eyes, that wave of sadness returning. Soon Anita will have pictures, times, maybe license plate numbers. Reality will overshadow every guess I've made. For now, I'm stuck in the unsettling space between suspicion and confirmation, feeling the marriage I cherished slip through my fingers like sand. The day after I hire Anita, I half expect some swift revelation, like I'll receive a shocking phone call at dawn confirming Kiara's unfaithfulness. But real life moves more slowly than my anxiety. So I go about my day off in an oddly tense mood, hoping for immediate updates. Kiara leaves early, a stiff goodbye on her lips, her eyes darting away. Once she's gone, the house feels eerily empty. I pace from room to room, noticing how meticulously she's arranged her real estate brochures, as if compensating for chaos in her personal life. My mind flickers to the wedding photo on the bookshelf. We look so young, her in that lace gown, me with an almost boyish grin. Could we have guessed we'd reach this silent standoff? Mid-morning, my phone rings Anita. "Alistair?" her calm voice inquires. "We've started. Just letting you know we'll observe Kiara's movements discreetly. It could take time, but I'll be in touch as soon as we have something concrete." I thank her, forcing an even tone as if I'm discussing a routine business contract. Once I hang up, I realize my hands are trembling. I never imagined I'd be the kind of husband who hires a private investigator. Hours creep by. I manage to distract myself with errands, groceries, a quick run to the bank. Everywhere I go, I'm haunted by the sense that I'm living a double life. A respectable assistant manager outside, but inside, I'm a suspicious spouse, on the brink of exposing a painful truth. Even the cashier at the grocery store remarks on how quiet I seem. I make up an excuse about a headache. Back home, my phone pings around 4 p.m. A text from Kiara. "Don't wait for me tonight. Have to finalize some papers with Dominic." My heart clenches just seeing his name. The entire text is a casual blow-off, as if telling me not to worry. My jaw sets. I reply with a curt, "Okay," then power off my phone for an hour, needing a break from the swirl in my mind. When I switch it back on, I notice a missed call from Benito. I call him back, anxious that it might be work-related or about the investigator. "Hey, everything okay?" His voice is friendly. "All good on my end. Just wanted to confirm you got Anita's number. Heard from her?" I exhale. "Yeah, she's on the job. Thanks for your help." "You sure you're all right, man?" Benito's tone is careful. "I know this is tough." I pause, considering how to explain my wrecked state of mind. I feel like I'm walking on a thin wire, waiting to see which side I'll fall on. After that call, I move to the kitchen table, spread out paperwork, and try to look busy. My heart isn't in it. The hours slip by until I hear Kiara return close to 8 p.m. She breezes through the door, eyebrows arched as if expecting me to ask where she's been. I don't. Instead, I feign calm, mentioning I have emails to handle. She nods, sets her purse down, and quietly heads to the shower without further comment. I'm left alone with my racing thoughts. Is she feeling guilty? Does her mind spin with half-formed lies? Or has she convinced herself that her actions, whatever they may be, are justified? That night, I set an alarm for 2 a.m., half hoping she'll slip out again, but she remains in bed. I lie awake, feeling the heaviness of her silent form beside me, our backs turned to each other. Come morning, I notice she's left early once again. My phone chimes, and I almost drop it in my rush to answer. It's Anita. Need some basic info about Dominic address. Spouse's name, if possible. Also, do you suspect he's using any hidden finances? My thoughts leap. I think he might, I text back. Kiara once mentioned he's known for extravagant suits. I can get more from her business documents if you need it. Anything helps, Anita replies. If he's fueling an affair, there might be a pattern. After this exchange, I rummage in our home office. Kiara's real estate binder sits in plain view. Inside, I see printouts of company memos. Dominic's name is there, along with an office address. There's mention of his father-in-law, Mr. Birch, the actual owner of the agency. Another page references a property management division, including a handful of rentals. One stands out, the same address where I tracked Kiara's phone. My stomach clenches. I text Anita the details. Finally, a wave of direct anger surges in me. Why am I sneaking around my own house? Why am I letting her put me in this humiliating position? But in the same breath, I realize if I blow up now, it could jeopardize the investigation. Everything inside me screams for confrontation, but I recall the half-lies, the phone calls, the swirling possibility that I'll never get real closure if I tip my hand prematurely. That afternoon, I have to leave for work again. On my drive, I can't stop replaying memories in my head. Kiara's early hustle, her new car, the dress for success mantra, the black hole of finances that might be fueling more than just professional ambition. I take a corner too fast, cursing under my breath. I need control. Anita will provide it. During my break, I step outside to call an old friend, Owen, the one who once quietly hinted I should call if I needed an ear. He picks up on the first ring. "Alistair?" he says, sounding mildly concerned. "Do you have a moment?" I manage, voice tight. "Sure, man. Shoot." I share vague details about Kiara's late nights, the unexplainable changes. Owen's quiet for a bit. "Listen, I'm not going to jump to conclusions," he begins, "but remember how my ex used to work weekends? I kept telling myself I was paranoid. Turned out she was meeting someone else. Only you know Kiara, but just be prepared." His words sink in, strangely affirming my path. "I've actually taken steps," I admit quietly, aware of how it sounds. "I hired a PI." Owen doesn't laugh. "Good. If it's nothing, you'll have peace of mind. If it's something, you'll have proof." When I end the call, I realize I'm trembling with a mix of relief and dread. I'm not alone in this murky place. Others have navigated it, survived it. Perhaps, as Owen said, this is the best way to ensure clarity. That night, I text Anita once more before bed. "Any new updates?" She replies that it's too soon for a full report, but her team is discreetly watching the property and Kiara's routine. I read that message 3 times, each repetition hammering home that my marriage is hanging by a thread, and I'm the one inching toward the scissors. In the darkness of our bedroom, Kiara's phone buzzes around 11 p.m. She picks it up quickly, muffling the screen from my view. My heart pounds, but I pretend to be drifting off. I hear only hushed whispers as she exits into the hall, phone pressed to her ear. She doesn't come back for 15 minutes, returning with forced nonchalance. Inside, a cold certainty grips me. The line between suspicion and betrayal is about to be irrevocably crossed, and part of me can't wait to see it confronted once and for all. I stand in my living room with a cup of stale coffee, staring out the window at the bright morning. It's been a few days since I contacted Anita, the private investigator Benito recommended. I half expected immediate updates, pictures, license plates, some big revelation. Instead, I've spent my time pacing from room to room, feeling unsteady. On this particular morning, Anita calls. "Hi, Alistair. Thought you'd want an update," she says, her voice calm yet businesslike. I grip my phone tighter. "Yeah, have you found anything?" "We've started a basic surveillance schedule," Anita explains. "Two of my associates, Corey and Denise, rotate in cars near that rental property. They'll keep an eye out for Kiara's vehicle or Dominic's. We're also watching your street, discreetly." My cheeks burn with embarrassment, imagining unmarked vehicles idling near my own home. Still, I push down that feeling. If I'm going to get the truth, I have to accept the methods. I hear background chatter in Anita's office. Then she speaks again. "We usually gather photo or video evidence over several days. If Kiara and Dominic are indeed meeting, we'll document it." I swallow. "Got it. Please just keep me in the loop." She promises she will. We hang up and I sink into the sofa, coffee untouched. I wonder if Kiara suspects anything. Lately she's been quiet, but I can't read her. She's left early this morning, texting that she'd be at the office. I didn't see her face before she left, and that's becoming normal. Two strangers passing in a shared hallway. Late afternoon drags me to the superstore for my shift. It's hard to concentrate on tasks like reorganizing stock or training new hires. My mind loops back to Kiara, where she might be, who she's with. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzes. A text from Anita pops up. She's at the rental property on East Laurel right now, with a man who arrived separately in a black Audi. Both inside for 40 minutes so far. We'll update. I step out to the loading dock, heart hammering. It's the proof I dreaded and expected. I stare at the text, reading it over and over. Part of me still hopes there's some mundane reason for both of them to be there after hours paperwork, a client meeting, anything. But I know, deep down, that's not likely. Work becomes a blur. By the time my shift ends, I have 3 more updates from Anita. The last one reads, "Got photos of Kiara and man leaving, some physical contact in parking lot. Clear faces, times stamped. The word physical stings. I pocket my phone and hurry out, aware that my chest feels painfully tight. Back at home past midnight, I find the house dark. Kiara's Mercedes is in the driveway. She's inside, maybe asleep. The idea of climbing into bed next to her, knowing she spent the evening in another man's arms, makes me nauseous. Instead, I stand in the kitchen, flipping on the light. The pale walls and stainless steel appliances look sterile, almost mocking me for the oblivious husband I once was. Suddenly, the hallway lamp flicks on. Kiara appears in her robe, eyes half-lidded. "You're back late," she says softly, voice scratchy from sleep. I can't help letting out a bitter laugh. "Well, that's my schedule these days." She studies me for a moment, but seems too tired or too uninterested to ask more. "All right, I'm going back to bed," she murmurs, shuffling away. I stand there for a long minute, phone in hand, wanting to confront her with the photos, with everything. But I say nothing. Instead, I make a silent vow. I need more than a couple of pictures. I want the full scope, to know exactly what's going on. If I'm going to upend my life, I want 0 doubt. The next morning, Anita calls again. This time, she suggests I meet her in person, explaining that she has images and short video clips. We settle on a small cafe across town. I call out from work with the flimsy excuse of a migraine. By 10 a.m., I'm seated at a corner table, sipping watery coffee while anxious to see what Anita has. She arrives, a fit woman in her 40s wearing a tailored blazer. She slides into the seat opposite mine. There's a confidence in her posture that sets me on edge. This is routine for her, but for me, it's my entire life. She opens a slim folder. First, these are still shots. Nothing too scandalous yet, but we see Kiara's face clearly, Dominic's face, timestamps, and locations. She taps a sequence of photos. The first few show Kiara entering that rental house, Dominic not far behind. Another shows them leaving side by side, her hand lightly touching his arm. My stomach twists. Anita continues. "We also stationed someone near your home. On 2 different nights, Dominic's car showed up after 8 p.m., left after 11 p.m. She has pictures to prove it. The glare of my own porch light betraying the scene. I exhale shakily. So, it's definitely an affair. Her nod is sympathetic but professional. Looks that way. She explains how they'll keep gathering evidence for a while longer. We can confirm patterns, whether they meet other places, if money is exchanging hands, anything you need. I manage a small nod, the cafe noises fading as I flip through the pictures. Kiara's face, once so familiar and dear, now feels distant and cold in these shots. After Anita leaves, I realize my hand is shaking so badly I can hardly hold my coffee cup. This is the point of no return. I officially know about Kiara and Dominic. I'm not just suspecting, it's real, documented. My chest feels hollow and I keep telling myself to breathe. Yet amid the shock, a flicker of grim resolve ignites. I won't confront her outright, not yet. I want to see how deep this goes. I recall her late nights, expensive purchases, and her boss's possible role in them. Are they using someone's money? Does Dominic manipulate her into certain deals? My mind races with questions. If Kiara's in so deep, maybe she's planning to abandon me financially as well. Driving home, I try to rehearse how I'll act normal around her. It's nearly impossible. But if I show my cards now, I'll only have half the story. By the time I pull into the driveway, I've practiced a neutral expression. Kiara's inside, rummaging in a drawer for takeout menus. "I was thinking we order pizza later," she says, glancing up. I notice the fleeting tension in her eyes. She's uneasy, too, probably juggling some half-truth if I ask about her day. "Sure," I say casually, forcing a tiny smile. "I'm starving." She relaxes, turning back to the drawer. Watching her back, I fight an onslaught of anger, but I school my face into calm. I can't let her see my storm, not until I know exactly how I want to handle it. A few days pass in a haze of forced politeness and quiet detective work. Anita keeps me updated every morning with short messages. Kiara and Dominic observed meeting at the office after hours. They drove separately to a diner, stayed 40 minutes at the rental. The pattern is consistent, as if they have a routine. One afternoon, Anita invites me to her office to meet Salma, one of her operatives specializing in social engineering, essentially, befriending people to glean insider info. Salma is poised, with a friendly smile that probably disarms everyone she meets. She explains how she visited Kiara's real estate office under the guise of seeking a small condo. Their receptionist, Geneva, is a chatty type, Salma says. Mentioned that Dominic's had romantic entanglements with a few agents before, allegedly ended badly for them. I lean forward in the client chair, my pulse jumping. So he's got a pattern of hooking up with his employees. Salma nods gravely. Geneva said Dominic is married to Helena Birch, daughter of Mr. Birch, the agency's owner. But apparently Dominic's father-in-law rarely visits the local office. Dominic's basically in charge. I remember Kiara's mention of a Mr. Birch months back, but never pieced it together. My anger twists. Did Kiara know about Dominic's track record? Is she another conquest to him, or is she a willing partner? We also uncovered a financial lead, Anita chimes in. Dominic might be skimming money or receiving kickbacks from certain contractors. The agency's books have anomalies. We suspect he's hiding sums in a personal safe deposit box. My head spins. And Kiara's involved in that? Anita shrugs. Not sure yet, but if she's intimately entangled, it's possible. We'll keep digging. I drive home, unsettled by how fast this is spiraling. It's no longer just about infidelity. There could be shady finances in play. And the mention of a safe deposit box hits a nerve. Kiara's random big purchases might not just be from her commissions. That evening, I walk into the house to find Kiara in her usual semi-aloof mood, scrolling on her tablet at the kitchen table. She taps furiously, probably messaging Dominic or some client. I make a beeline upstairs, feigning exhaustion. Once in the bedroom, I see she left her laptop on. A flicker of impulse crosses me. Maybe I can glean more if I check her email or messages, but I hesitate. She's still in the house, and I don't want to get caught rummaging. A day later, my chance arrives unexpectedly. Kiara rushes out in the morning, forgetting her tablet on the living room couch. She's in such a hurry she barely says goodbye. My heart pounds at the opportunity. After she's gone, I pick it up. The lock screen requests a PIN. I try the same code she's used on her phone for years. It works. I know it's a violation of privacy, but the reality is she's violated my trust. My hands tremble as I open her text app, scanning for anything suspicious. The list of messages reveals a contact simply labeled D. Inside are strings of texts that make my stomach lurch. Can't wait for us to have more time together. My office at 7:08. We need to be careful, my husband's suspicious. I talked to Dominic about us starting that new franchise once I have half the house's equity. My eyes burn reading the references to husband's suspicion and half the house's equity. She's literally discussing, in black and white text, dividing my own assets for her future plans. Then another text from D. Already have some money stashed. If you get your share from Alistair, we can buy the franchise. Then divorces and we're free. I clamp a hand over my mouth, reeling. This isn't just an affair. It's a blueprint for betrayal. They want to divorce their spouses, join forces, and presumably vanish into a new real estate venture. They talk about Helena's trust fund as well, but they acknowledge Dominic can't touch it unless something changes. One message stands out, dated just last week. Kiara wrote, "We can't risk him finding out about the rental property meetups or the money you keep in that safe deposit. I can push Alistair to take out a loan if we need cash soon. He trusts me enough." I practically feel the oxygen leave the room. She's plotting not only to break our marriage, but to drain my finances. Guilt, rage, heartbreak swirl in my chest. I quickly snap photos of the text with my phone. My mind is a hornet's nest. I'm trembling so badly I almost drop the tablet. After I exit the messages, I place the device exactly where it was. Then I rush upstairs to breathe, leaning against the bedroom wall. It's not until an hour later that I remember to call Anita. I relay the gist of what I've seen, my voice taut with anger. She listens with professional calm, then says, "Take screenshots. Keep them secure. It's invaluable evidence if you end up in court or if you want leverage." Leverage. That's the exact word that flickers in my mind. If Kiara and Dominic want to leave me penniless, maybe I can turn the tables first. But how? Part of me wants to blow up, confront Kiara tonight, demand answers. Another part of me pictures them calmly outmaneuvering me, leaving me with nothing. Before bed, Kiara returns, claiming she stayed late at a property staging. I watch her from the couch with an unreadable expression. Every word out of her mouth feels like a personal insult now. She glances my way, brow pinched, as if unsure why I'm so stony. "You okay?" she finally asks. "I'm fine," I murmur, standing up. "Just tired." She shrugs, heading upstairs. It's a small exchange, but it cements how thoroughly she's lying day after day. I decide in that moment, no more naive acceptance. I have the texts, Anita's got photos, I have everything I need to confirm Kiara's deceit. But I also recall how she and Dominic want to exploit the equity in our home. If I walk away with a simple divorce, I'll lose half my assets or be forced into a never-ending battle in court. This betrayal isn't just personal, it's financial warfare. I slip into bed later, waiting until Kiara drifts off, then stare at the ceiling. Thoughts churn about how to protect myself, how to exact some form of justice. I'm not proud of that desire, but it's there, raw and growing. My mind replays the text about the safe deposit box, the half-baked plan to force me into a loan. I vow to myself, if Kiara can plot behind my back, I can plan even more meticulously. A week later, my frustration finally pushes me to reach out to Owen, an old friend and colleague who transferred out of our store after going through a brutal divorce. He'd once offered to lend an ear. Now I realize I need exactly that, someone who understands betrayal and the legal pitfalls that come with it. We arranged to meet at a modest bar near his new workplace, about 30 minutes from my house. It's early evening, the place not too crowded. I spot Owen in a corner booth, a half-empty glass of beer in front of him. He stands when he sees me, extends a hand in greeting, then gestures for me to sit. "Long time, no see," he says, searching my face with concern. "You look wiped out." I let out a hollow chuckle. "Yeah, it's been a roller coaster." We settle in, and I quietly outline the nightmare swirling around me. Kiara's affair, the proof from Anita, the texts about siphoning equity. Owen listens intently, occasionally grimacing or nodding in recognition. Finally, he sighs. "I'm sorry, man. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but people do messed up things. My ex took me for half my savings despite her cheating. A cold sweat prickles my forehead. So you ended up losing a lot? He shrugs, swirling his beer. Yeah, it was a no-fault state. The affair itself didn't matter legally. We split assets right down the middle. I had to pay alimony, too, since I made more. Turned out she used that cash to move in with her boyfriend. My hand tightens around my soda glass. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Kiara's planning to get half the house, half our joint funds, maybe more. And from what I gather, Dominic's in some shady financial stuff. I can't let them walk away with everything I've worked for. Owen nods sympathetically. In most places, an affair doesn't give you legal leverage, unless you can prove something like fraudulent finances, but that can be tough. Courts rarely punish adultery. He taps the table thoughtfully. But if you're strategic, you might push for a better settlement. Sometimes the embarrassment factor can be used if the cheating spouse or their partner wants to keep things quiet. It's morally gray, but you do what you have to. I swallow, my mind flicking to the evidence I already have. Kiara's texts, Dominic's possible embezzlement. She's definitely worried about me finding out. She's not going to let me blow this up publicly. Dominic is married to his boss's daughter. If that gets out, it could destroy him. Owen sips his beer, leaning back. You might have some advantage there, especially if Dominic's father-in-law is powerful. He might cut Dominic off, or even fire him, if an affair scandal breaks out. A slow realization creeps in. This is a path. Embarrassing them, forcing them to pay or lose everything. It's not the noble route, but after all they've done, do I really care about nobility anymore? I glance around at the subdued bar lighting, the hum of casual conversations. Soft music plays overhead. For a second, I remember simpler times, when Kiara and I used to meet for happy hour drinks, planning a future. The betrayal stings me anew. Owen sets his glass down. Alistair, I can sense your anger. I get it. Just be careful. Rage can lead to decisions you might regret. I manage a shaky breath. I don't want to blow my life up in blind fury, but I can't just let them stomp on me. He nods. No, protect yourself. If you confront her now, she'll probably lie her way around it, or she could move assets behind your back. My advice, gather as much evidence as you can. Try to talk to a lawyer quietly. See your options. And if you want to negotiate for a better divorce deal, you have to be 2 steps ahead. We keep talking for another hour, drifting through topics like splitting property, potential alimony, or exposing Dominic. Owen's been through the grinder, and hearing him talk grounds me in reality. This is going to be a war of strategy. By the time I leave the bar, I feel more prepared, if not calmer. The city lights blur on my drive home, headlights streaking across my windshield like ghosts. I recall Kiara's quiet demeanor whenever she's around me now. She likely thinks I'm growing complacent or clueless. She has no idea how determined I've become to protect myself. That night, Kiara is in the living room, staring at her laptop with an expression I can't decipher. She glances up when I enter. Out with a friend? She asks. Yeah, just catching up, I reply, voice steady. She nods, studying me for a moment. My heartbeat remains even. I'm getting better at feigning normal. Once upstairs, I close my bedroom door and stand in the silence, letting Owen's words echo. In a no-fault state, infidelity alone doesn't matter. If Kiara files for divorce first, claiming irreconcilable differences, she might get half, or more. She might demand spousal support if she manipulates the narrative. But the mention of blackmail by embarrassment, the embarrassment factor, Owen called it, lingers in my mind. It feels dirty, but also justifiable. If Kiara and Dominic want to scam me, they deserve consequences. A part of me balks at the thought of stooping to their level, but another part, a darker part, is tired of being the naive husband. Before crawling into bed, I shoot a text to Anita. Need more comprehensive evidence, specifically anything showing Kiara and Dominic's finances. Let me know if that's possible. She replies almost immediately. We'll see what we can do. I have some leads on Dominic's bank. We'll keep you posted. I power off my phone, dropping it on the nightstand. My reflection in the mirror across the room looks older than I remember, a subtle hardness in my eyes. Maybe that's inevitable when you discover the person you trusted most is plotting your downfall. The next week unfolds with suffocating tension. Kiara continues her duplicity days at work, nights with hushed phone calls. Anita and her team deliver sporadic updates. More photos of Kiara and Dominic. Rumors from the office that Dominic is manipulating certain home repair contracts for cash under the table. Meanwhile, I collect screenshots of Kiara's messages from her tablet whenever she leaves it unattended. One late evening, I sit in my darkened bedroom, sifting through those screenshots on my phone. I see how they talk about divorcing their spouses and using the real estate franchise buy-in as a fresh start. They mention they need a chunk of money, some from Dominic's hidden stash, some from Kiara's share of my home. They talk about me as if I'm just an obstacle, an afterthought. My anger flares into a white-hot rage. But then I remember Owen's caution, Anita's thoroughness. If I just confront them, they'll close ranks. That's when a new, electrifying thought sparks. What if I create a scenario that forces them to pay me instead? I'm no legal expert, but I know how blackmail works in a broad sense, especially the emotional variety. Embarrassment or exposure can be a powerful weapon. I sit upright, nearly trembling with adrenaline. I'd never considered myself capable of orchestrating a con, but the idea floods my mind with possibilities. Could I make them believe someone else, a stranger, has evidence of their affair and Dominic's shady dealings? Could I demand money in exchange for silence? On a moral level, it's questionable. On a practical level, it might save me from losing half my life's work. I stand and pace the room, trying to calm myself. The notion is huge, risky. I recall an old friend who once used a burner phone for a temporary project. If I buy a burner phone, hide my identity, I can text them as the blackmailer, but I need to ensure it can't be traced back to me. My mind spins with the details, disabling location services, paying with cash, timing messages, so Kiara sees them while I'm obviously at work, or with her in person. The entire plan forms like a blueprint in my head. Still, I have to be systematic. I open my laptop and start researching delayed text services, number masking apps, the basics of how law enforcement might trace calls. The deeper I go, the more feasible it seems. My hands shake with a mixture of fear and excitement. I'm stepping into a moral gray zone, but after everything, my capacity for guilt is overshadowed by survival instincts. I scribble notes on a pad, checking the clock often. I can't let Kiara walk in on me. She's off showing a house, might return any time. The final piece of this puzzle is deciding how to demand the money. It can't be too high or too low. It has to be enough that they'd scramble but also pay if the alternative is total exposure. My heart hammers at the realization. I'm planning something that, if discovered, would blow back on me. But they started this war, I remind myself. In the middle of my scribbling, my phone buzzes. It's Anita with a short text. We have info that Dominic keeps a second safe deposit box at Elk River Bank. Not in joint name with wife. Possibly a large sum of cash. I stare at that line, heartbeat surging. That's it. Dominic has stashed funds. He can pay. They can't cry poverty or act clueless. They have resources. I have the damning evidence. This is starting to feel almost too perfect. But a sliver of self-awareness pricks me. This is blackmail, pure and simple. I sink onto the edge of the bed, pinching the bridge of my nose. The moral lines are blurred by my fury and desperation. Yet I see no other path that protects me from losing everything. If I try to fight them in open court, Kiara could still walk away with half. Dominic might bury evidence of his wrongdoing. Meanwhile, I'd be left with heartbreak and an empty bank account. I text Anita. Continue gathering whatever you can about his finances. Don't let them suspect me. She confirms they'll stay discreet. Then I tuck my phone away, deciding to keep my plan secret from everyone, even Anita. I'm not sure she'd condone it. Alone, I watch the moonlight stretch across the floor. My mind conjures images of Kiara and Dominic, whispering over property deals, planning to run off together once they have my money. A bitter laugh escapes me. They have no idea I'm forging a way to turn their greed against them. Sometime past midnight, Kiara comes home. I overhear her on a phone call in the downstairs hallway, speaking in low tones. My heart pounds, listening through the door, but I catch only snippets. Yes, soon, no. He doesn't suspect, I'll let you know. He doesn't suspect. The corners of my mouth twist into a humorless grin. If only she knew how drastically she's underestimated me. In bed, I draft a mental to-do list. Purchase a burner phone with cash, maybe at a big box store far from home. Set up a new email or messaging account for backups. Plan the text content carefully, dropping references to their affair and his bank, so they believe the blackmailer is an insider or someone with real intel. Figure out how to collect the money without them tracing it back to me. Hours pass, my body motionless beside Kiara's. She's dozing peacefully, oblivious that her husband is plotting a trap. There's a hollow ache in my chest, acknowledging how twisted this marriage has become. Once, I loved her so purely, so trustingly. Now I'm quietly preparing to extort her and her lover for hush money. But an unyielding voice in my head keeps repeating, they were going to rip you off and walk away. This is self-defense. That's how I rationalize it. And maybe in the morning light, I'll question everything. But right now, in the hush of the night, the idea feels less like a crime and more like justice. By the time my alarm goes off at dawn, I've barely slept. Yet a grim clarity floods my thoughts. I'm not doing this out of petty revenge alone. I'm ensuring that if Kiara and Dominic try to divorce me on their terms, they'll pay a steep price first. The line between right and wrong has blurred beyond recognition, but it doesn't scare me anymore. I slip out of bed quietly. Kiara stirs, murmuring something about a long day ahead. I watch her for a second, face half buried in the pillow. I feel a pang of regret, but only for the life we might have had. That dream is gone. Now, all that remains is the slow, methodical pursuit of the truth and a plan to ensure I don't come out the loser. From the moment I slip the prepaid burner phone into my glove box, I feel as though I'm watching my own life through a dark, distorted lens. I drive away from the electronics store on the outskirts of town, heart pounding with the knowledge of what I've just set in motion. If Kiara and Dominic wanted to undermine me, they never suspected I would strike first. That evening, after finishing my shift at the superstore, I park on a deserted side street. With the phone powered on, I carefully type the first text. I know all about your little affair. $200,000 or your spouses see the photos. I double-check I'm sending it to both Kiara and Dominic, using the numbers I extracted from Kiara's tablet. My hands tremble slightly as I press send. There's no turning back. Within minutes, the phone buzzes with frantic replies. Dominic. Who is this? What do you want? Kiara. Stop messing around or I'll call the cops. I force a bitter half-smile, texting again. Cops? Go ahead. Explain to them and your husband how your boss's car was at that rental property all night. Maybe I should talk to Helena too. No reply from Dominic or Kiara. Perfect. I power down the burner, slip it under my seat, and drive home, rehearsing a mask of calm. Kiara is in the kitchen when I arrive, stirring a pot of soup. She glances up. Long day? She asks, voice still laced with mild tension. Yeah, same old, I reply, crossing to the sink to wash my hands. Inside, my chest rages with adrenaline. She's probably checking her phone right now, wondering if I suspect anything. We eat quietly. She asks a few routine questions about my manager. I keep my answers short, feigning typical exhaustion. The air is thick with unspoken unease. Every now and then, Kiara's phone buzzes on the table, likely Dominic messaging her about the blackmail. But she doesn't check it in front of me, probably worried I'll see something suspicious. After dinner, she mutters something about a headache and retreats to the bedroom. I stand at the kitchen sink, staring at the soapy dishes, my mind reeling. Did the first text land the way I wanted? Is Dominic panicking? Later that night, I slip out to the backyard. Under the dim porch light, I power on the burner phone again. The screen floods with messages. From Dominic. This is insane. Kiara, are you behind this? From Kiara. If this is some twisted joke, Dominic, knock it off. Dominic again. It's not me. Maybe a coworker got suspicious. Or that neighbor who saw us at your driveway. Kiara. We have to figure this out fast before Alistair catches on or Helena sees anything. I screenshot these texts from my own records. My pulse hammers. They're already blaming each other. That's exactly what I hoped. I tap out one more message. Don't waste time bickering. I want $200K in cash, or the pictures go public and to your spouses. I schedule the message for delayed delivery tomorrow morning, when I'll be standing right next to Kiara at breakfast. She won't suspect me if she sees I'm not touching my phone at the moment the text lands. Shutting off the burner, I slip it back into its hiding spot. The hush of the evening is almost eerie. like nature itself is witnessing my personal battlefield. My heart aches at how far this has gone, but I steel myself. They're the ones who plan to run away with my assets. This is just me fighting back. It's 7:30 a.m. and I'm pouring cereal when Kiara's phone pings with an incoming text. She flinches, peeks at the screen, then tenses. I force myself to remain casual, taking a spoonful of cereal while she reads. She doesn't speak a word, but her eyes dart to me for a fraction of a second, anxious, maybe suspecting I glimpsed the notification. "Everything okay?" I ask. She forces a smile. "Just a spam text. I'll handle it." A half hour later, Kiara hurries out of the house, claiming she has an urgent meeting. I wait until her car disappears down the street, then check her tablet. Sure enough, new text from Dominic. "The blackmailer is demanding $200K. We have to handle this. If Helena finds out I'm hooking up with you, I'm dead, and you'll lose Alistair's money. Meet me at the office ASAP. We'll figure out who this is." A dark satisfaction churns in my gut. They're unraveling, suspecting everyone except me. While I don't take pleasure in their fear for its own sake, it's the only advantage I have. I close the tablet, carefully placing it back where Kiara left it. As the day unfolds, more updates trickle into my burner phone. Dominic and Kiara are texting each other in panicked bursts, blaming each other for potential leaks. Kiara wonders if Dominic confided in someone at the office. Dominic accuses Kiara of bragging to a friend about their plan. They dance around the edges of turning on each other. Around noon, I step into the superstore break room. My coworkers chat about weekend plans while I stare at my phone, reading the next wave of frantic messages from the two adulterers. One from Dominic stands out. "If you or a friend set this up to scare me, it's working. Just tell me. I can give you money, but not $200K at once." He's obviously starting to break. My chest tightens with relief my plan is working, though I hate the side effect of feeling like a criminal. Focus, I remind myself. This is about protecting yourself. That evening, I push the plan further. While Kiara texts from the couch, probably with Dominic, I slip away to my car under the pretense of grabbing something. Safely inside, I schedule another blackmail message to send in exactly 15 minutes. Meanwhile, I walk back in, phone in my pocket, and sit next to Kiara. Sure enough, at precisely 8 p.m., her phone buzzes. She pales, quickly locks the screen, then musters a faint grin my way. "Just work stuff. A client's being weird." I arch a brow. "Another late-night house showing?" "Actually, yeah. Might be," she mumbles, ducking her head. It's almost surreal, watching her pretend while I know the exact content of that text. "Time is running out. Do you want your spouses and boss to see the pictures? $200K. Soon." No one can guess I'm behind it, especially with me physically next to Kiara as the message arrives. 2 days later, I receive a frantic text on the burner from Dominic. "We can't pull $200K from the bank in one go. The teller would ask questions. We can do smaller daily withdrawals or we can try my safe deposit stash, but not all at once." I chuckle under my breath. Looks like he's worried about raising flags. By cross-referencing these messages with Kiara's, I see them brainstorming ways to piece together the large sum. Dominic mentions he can get maybe $100,000 from his hidden account, but will have to drip-feed the rest from another joint account so Helena won't notice immediately. From Kiara's messages to Dominic, I learn that he's roped her into physically delivering the money, some convoluted idea that if she's the one dropping the cash, Dominic can appear innocent to any suspicious watchers. Kiara resents it but sees no choice. She texts him, "Fine, I'll do it, but this is insane. We still don't know who's blackmailing us." "Don't think I won't remember that you made me handle this alone." Their friction is palpable. Trust is eroding fast. Precisely what I need. I craft my next blackmail text, telling them to gather the full $200,000. I specify a location for the drop. A 24-hour gym with minimal cameras pointed at the men's locker area. They'll never guess it's me because I rarely even mention going to that gym. The message reads, "Men's locker 119 at Orion Gym, 3 a.m. Thursday. Put the cash in a duffel. Lock it. Text me the locker number and combo. Leave. Don't bring him with you, Kiara. If I see Dominic, deal's off. I'll have someone watching." Kiara's reply arrives hours later. "Why me? Why not him? This is risky for me." I respond, "I have my reasons. Obey or get exposed." Peeking at the chatter on Kiara's tablet, I see her meltdown. Kiara to Dominic. You're using me as bait. If Alistair finds out I'm gone at 3 a.m., it's over. Dominic replies, You said you can lie about visiting your mom or something. This is our last chance. Either do it or be ready to lose everything. I can't help a pang of pity. She's roped into sneaking out in the dead of night. But then I recall how she planned to milk me for house equity. My resolve hardens. Thursday arrives. I spend most of my day feeling electric with tension. At around 8 p.m., Kiara claims she needs to drive out to check on a family emergency. She looks me dead in the eye, waiting to see if I challenge her. I pretend to buy it, giving her a sympathetic nod. Inside, I'm alive with adrenaline. She's actually going through with the money drop. Sure enough, around 2:30 a.m., I slip out to my car, parked down the street. Bundled in black sweats, gloves, and a baseball cap, I watch from a distance as Kiara's Mercedes creeps down the block. She parks near the curb. I see her get out, glancing around nervously, wearing a long coat. The duffel bag must be inside. She enters the gym, following my instructions. I wait, heart pounding so loud I half expect Kiara to hear it through the night air. 10 minutes pass, then my phone pings. A text from her, Locker 119, Combo 47126. Money is inside. Please don't do this. I exhale, the sweet realization sinking in. They actually delivered the cash. A few minutes later, Kiara hustles out, scanning the deserted parking lot. No Dominic in sight, my threat kept him away. She jumps into her Mercedes and drives off. Perfect. I give it another hour, letting her vanish into the night. Around 4 a.m., the parking lot is deserted except for a handful of cars. Pulling my cap lower, I slip into the gym. My membership's expired, but I once learned how to tailgate in behind someone else who scans their card. Sure enough, a sleepy-looking guy steps in, and I quietly follow before the door shuts. Inside the men's locker room, the hum of overhead lights sets a tense mood. It's empty at this hour. I find locker 119, spin the combination. My hands tremble a little as I unlatch it. A black duffel sits inside. I peek inside, glimpsing neat stacks of bills wrapped with rubber bands. My throat tightens with triumph. This is real. They paid the blackmailer. Not wanting to linger, I quickly lift the duffel into a second backpack I brought along. Then I slip out of the gym, head low. No one stops me. My car is parked in a dark corner of the lot, far from any security cameras. God, this is risky, I think, as I toss the backpack on the passenger seat. But it's done. I text Kiara from the burner phone. Money received. If you keep quiet, so do I. Then I power it off. The next step, hiding the cash. They'll be tense for days, expecting confirmation. Maybe they'll demand proof I'll delete the pictures. Let them sweat. Once home, I hide the duffel in our detached garage, inside a locked storage trunk. I'll move it somewhere safer tomorrow. Maybe my parents' place or a rental storage locker. For now, just the sight of it makes my pulse slam with a heady blend of victory and devastation. I hate that it's come to this, yet it feels like the only justice I can cling to. Slipping inside the house, I tiptoe upstairs. Kiara's car is in the driveway, so she must have returned. The bedroom door is shut. Through the thin walls, I hear her muffled sob. The sound hits me in an unexpected way, like the final collapse of a woman who's realized her entire plan is spiraling out of control. For a second, I pity her, recalling the early days of our marriage when we were still in love. But then I remember the texts about draining our savings, the property deals she plotted with Dominic. My sympathy hardens into resolve. We're past any normal solutions. This was my last option. Flopping onto the couch, I watch faint dawn light creep through the blinds. Every part of me pulses with tension and a twisted triumph. I have the upper hand now, quite literally. Let Kiara and Dominic wonder who's blackmailing them. They can spin conspiracies all day. As long as they keep their mouths shut, I'll keep the money and my quiet. If they try anything else, I have more evidence to reveal. It's not exactly a happy ending, but at least I'm not the victim they assumed I'd be. I rest my head against a cushion, staring at the ceiling. This victory tastes bitter, but it's still a victory. I close my eyes, letting exhaustion claim me at last. Tomorrow, I'll wake up with my life changed. And ironically, Kiara will never know that the real blackmailer has been sleeping in the same house all along. I wake up the morning after my successful heist with an odd sense of finality. The hush in the house is almost suffocating, as though Kiara and I are caught in a stalemate. She's been tiptoeing around me ever since the blackmailer demanded that cash at the gym, not realizing I'm the one who orchestrated the entire fiasco. While I brew coffee, a text pings on my personal phone. It's from Anita, the private investigator who first helped me confirm Kiara's affair. Update. I got additional photos of Dominic and Kiara last week. Let me know if you still need them. I stare at the message, heart thumping. Yes. This might be the perfect time to detonate the truth for maximum impact, particularly on Dominic's side. By mid-morning, I gather every damning photograph, Kiara and Dominic leaving that notorious rental property, an affectionate hand on her shoulder, timestamps verifying the night spent together. Then I attach them to a concise email, craftily addressing it to Helena, Dominic's wife, and myself, as though I'm just one of the many recipients. I enter Helena's email. Anita dug it up from public realty listings connected to the Birch family. My subject line is blunt: your husband's affair. The body reads, Helena, I'm sorry you have to learn this way. But you deserve to know that Dominic has been involved with Kiara for months. Included are photos from various nights at an off-market property. He's kept it hidden from you, but not from me. I pause, feeling a rush of adrenaline slice through my guilt. Then I click send. It doesn't take long for chaos to erupt. While scanning my phone in the living room, I catch a string of frantic messages from Kiara, forwarded from Dominic. Helena knows everything. She got pictures in an email this morning. She's furious. I'm being kicked out. Mr. Birch is calling me. My father-in-law's livid. My stomach twists, a mix of triumph and dread. They're panicking because they don't realize I'm the one behind it. I slip on my jacket and head out for groceries, wanting to avoid Kiara when she inevitably storms through the house. On my way, I can't ignore the tension gripping my chest. This plan was never about compassion. It's about retribution. By the time I return, the meltdown is in full swing. Kiara's car screeches into the driveway seconds behind me. She jumps out, tears in her eyes, her phone clutched in her hand. Alistair, she stammers, breath ragged. Did you get an email too? About my boss? I feign ignorance, fishing out grocery bags. What email? She tries to collect herself. An anonymous source someone sent pictures to Dominic's wife. And you, apparently. Her throat moves in a dry swallow. I was at the office with him, and he got a call from Helena, and then my phone started blowing up. I came home to see if you'd... She stops, words choking off. I lift my phone, feigning surprise. I do see an email with attachments. Haven't opened it yet, should I? Kiara's eyes betray full-blown panic. Let's go inside, she whispers, voice trembling. We set the groceries down in the kitchen. Kiara hovers as I open my inbox. Sure enough, there's an email identical to the one I sent to Helena. I click the attachments. Time-stamped photos of Kiara and Dominic in blatant embraces outside that property, plus a few from the front porch of our own home. My heart pumps with the same anger and hurt that fueled me for weeks, but I keep a stoic front. She collapses onto a kitchen stool, burying her face in her hands. Alistair, please, I can explain. Her voice is muffled and shaking. Explain what? My tone comes out colder than expected. That you've been lying to me? That you and your boss have been together for months? She looks up, tears smearing her mascara. It wasn't serious at first, I swear. It was a stupid fling and I cut it off. But he kept pressuring me. She tries a shaky breath. When you got suspicious, I panicked. We only met a few more times. Spare me, I snap, stomach twisting at her half-truths. I know from the blackmail fiasco that they planned more than a fling. They wanted to swindle me out of my own home. Yet I keep that knowledge hidden for now, letting her dig her own grave. She rakes her fingers through her hair, eyes wild. I'm sorry, okay? I messed up, but it doesn't have to end us. We can fix this. I stare at the floor, images swirling. Her midnight calls, the blackmail money, her conspiracies with Dominic. How do you expect me to believe it wasn't serious when these pictures show you practically living a double life? She stands, stepping toward me. Alistair, look at me. I know I destroyed your trust, but I love you. I never wanted to hurt you. Her words make me flinch. Never wanted to hurt me? My anger flares. Yet here I am, publicly humiliated. An email full of pictures that apparently everyone in Dominic's circle now has. I'm the last to know. Or so you think. Kiara's tears continue, but something changes in her expression, a flicker of desperation. Don't you see Dominic manipulated me? He threatened my job, my future in real estate. I was in over my head. He kept promising me promotions, higher commissions. I was foolish, but she grips her arms, voice lowering. I never stopped loving you, Alistair. I was just confused. My chest tightens. Stop. You can't keep lying about the nature of this relationship. I recall her text messages about starting a franchise with Dominic and divorcing me afterward. My nails dig into my palms. I'm not going to play the fool anymore. She tries to speak, but I hold up a hand. Kiara, it's over. I'm done. I want a divorce. Her breath catches, eyes going wide. No, wait. Don't do that. This is just a huge misunderstanding. She lurches forward, grabbing my arm. Yes, I slept with him, but it was a mistake. I was going to end it. I step back, freeing my arm. Then why do these photos span months? Why is there talk of franchise plans? This is no one-time fling. She stammers, face blanching. He put that idea in my head. Something about a new agency. It was just talk, not real. I swear. She's crying openly now. Please, Alistair, don't throw away our marriage. We can get counseling. I'll do anything. Emotions surge in me, anger, sorrow, betrayal, but I keep my composure. I've already made up my mind. For a split second, she meets my gaze, her voice trembling. Tell me you're willing to try. You owe me that much. I owe her. The audacity stings. I owe you nothing, I say quietly. Pack your things soon. I want you out. Her jaw drops, tears turning to desperation. She tries one last time. Alistair, I love you. Dominic means nothing to me. I'll prove it. But I've seen enough. I brush past her, leaving the kitchen. Her sobs echo in the hallway behind me. My entire being feels hollow, but there's a grim clarity in letting her see my resolve. This confrontation might be the hardest thing I've done yet. It's also a strange relief to end the charade. I spend the next several days in a fog, sorting through an avalanche of legal threats and emotional fallout. Dominic, having lost Helena's trust, is apparently kicked out of his home. Rumors swirl that Helena's father, Mr. Birch, is investigating the agency's finances. Meanwhile, Kiara looks half dead with anxiety, lurking around the house with puffy eyes. On a Thursday afternoon, I get a call from Benito, my security contact turned friend, sounding uneasy. Hey, Alistair, you might want to know that Dominic's lawyers are suggesting Kiara extorted money from him. They're calling it blackmail. My pulse lurches. What? Benito hesitates. They're claiming Dominic has proof he withdrew large sums of cash, apparently under Kiara's instructions. He's basically saying she threatened to expose the affair unless he paid up. A cold sweat dots my forehead. Dominic is flipping the story. Thanks for letting me know, I say, voice tight. After hanging up, I slump into a kitchen chair. Dominic's trying to spin me out of the equation entirely, pinning the blackmail on Kiara. I guess it's better than him suspecting me, but it drags Kiara into an even worse position. Do I intervene or keep silent? My mind tangles with moral conflicts. I decide to keep my head down, not volunteering any information. Anita also calls me that evening, cautioning me. Watch yourself, Alistair. If the cops start investigating the blackmail, they might question you and Kiara. Dominic's a cornered animal. He'll say anything to save himself. Kiara corners me later that night, eyes swollen from crying. Dominic claims I blackmailed him. He's lying, obviously. He paid someone, but I had nothing to do with it. Do you believe him? Her question makes my blood run cold. I'm not sure what to believe. Either way, I'm not letting you or Dominic drag me into your mess. I can't help the slight edge in my tone. My mind reels with the irony that I orchestrated the blackmail. She wraps her arms around herself, voice shaking. His lawyer threatened to involve the police. I might need legal representation. I keep my reply short. Then get a lawyer. If she senses my detachment, she doesn't show it. She just nods, eyes distant. Over the weekend, I see a flurry of texts from Kiara's phone. Mr. Birch apparently discovered shady financial dealings in the agency's books, presumably Dominic's money laundering or bribes. Kiara's real estate license is on the line if Mr. Birch decides to claim she was complicit. She paces the living room, phone clutched tight. "Everything's falling apart," she mutters. "Dominic's fired. I'm on unpaid leave. We're both being investigated internally. My reputation is ruined." I stand by the window, uncertain if I should feel pity or satisfaction. She peeks at me, whispering, "Alistair, I know I messed up, but can't you see I'm paying the price? Please just help me get through this." A surge of bitterness grips me. "Help you?" I echo, turning to face her. "Where was your concern for me when you lied for months?" The memory of her texts with Dominic about stealing from our house's equity resurfaces. All I see is you reaping consequences. She presses her lips together, eyes brimming with tears, but says nothing. The silence between us grows, thick with regrets and unspoken confessions. Days pass in a tense routine. Kiara moves like a ghost through the house, occasionally packing clothes or personal items. There's no warmth between us, just stilted politeness if we cross paths. I sleep on the couch, not wanting to be near her room. On a humid Tuesday evening, I come home from my superstore shift to find her rummaging in the hallway closet, pulling out suitcases. She flinches when she sees me. I'm looking for space to store my things," she murmurs. "I'll get out of your hair soon." I set down my keys with a sigh. "Just so we're clear, I want you gone by next week. No more excuses." She nods, looking defeated. "I understand. Let me coordinate with my parents. I'll stay with them until I figure out the rest." We move to the dining table to hash out the bare bones of how we'll separate. Our conversation is mechanical, devoid of real emotion. Kiara's car. She leased it in her name, so she keeps it. Joint bank account. We agree to freeze it until we talk about asset division. Furniture. I wave a hand saying I don't need most of it, but she only takes what's strictly hers. She bites her lip, uncertain. "Don't you want half of the furniture, at least the bedroom set?" My voice is hollow. None of that matters now. Near the end of the discussion, Kiara tries one last apology, her eyes pleading. "Alistair, for what it's worth, I wish I could take it all back." I can't bring myself to respond, simply turning my gaze away. Maybe part of me craves an apology, but it changes nothing. She stands, shoulders drooping. The day arrives sooner than I expect. Her parents' SUV pulls into the driveway on a Friday morning. They don't even get out to greet me. Kiara loads suitcases, clothing boxes, a few personal knickknacks, photo frames, books, random decor. She lingers in the foyer, looking around as though memorizing the life she once had. Then she faces me, tears welling. "I'm so sorry," she whispers. "I was a terrible wife, but I do love you, and I hope someday you can—" "Stop," I murmur, raising a hand. "I've heard enough." My voice remains controlled. "I wish you the best. Now go." Her lips tremble. She nods and steps outside, letting the door close quietly behind her. Through the window, I watch her climb into her parents' SUV. I glimpse her mother's sympathetic expression, while her father stares straight ahead. The car backs out, disappears down the street. I stand in the silent living room, the late morning sun slanting across half-packed shelves. An unfamiliar emptiness expands within me. Despite the bitterness, a pang of sadness seeps through. We were married for years, shared jokes, planned futures. Now it's all shattered. Dropping onto the couch, I let the finality wash over me. Part of me feels triumphant, having orchestrated the blackmail that forced Dominic and Kiara to pay. Another part wonders if I've become someone unrecognizable, cutthroat, vengeful. Yet the memory of their betrayal, of them plotting to exploit me, cements my conviction. I did what I had to do. For a moment, I dig my phone from my pocket, scrolling through old photos of Kiara and me in happier times. Vacations by the beach, silly holiday selfies. My chest tightens. We can't go back. A beep from the living room clock snaps me out of my thoughts. I set the phone aside, breathing slowly. The house is mine alone now, albeit shadowed with painful memories. But at least I'm free from Kiara's deceit. I rise and walk to the kitchen, footsteps echoing in the vacant corridors. Maybe I'll throw out the old wedding pictures, rearrange the furniture, anything to reclaim this space. For the first time since her affair came to light, I sense a flicker of relief. I have a long road ahead. Lawyers, dividing assets, dealing with lingering secrets about the blackmail. But in this quiet moment, I feel the faintest glimmer of hope in the midst of heartbreak. With Kiara gone, I realize my story isn't over. There's a next chapter waiting. I intend to write it on my own terms. The first morning after Kiara leaves, I wake up on the living room couch with a hollow ache in my chest. The house is eerily quiet. Without her presence, every corner feels off balance, like furniture set askew. I walk into the kitchen, half expecting to see her rummaging for cereal or flipping through real estate listings on her tablet. Instead, there's just me and the echoes of everything that's happened. I'm caught between relief that the deception is over and an unsettling grief that my marriage fell apart so ruthlessly. The blackmail money I forced them to pay is hidden away an ugly secret that reminds me how far I went for revenge. I'm not proud of it, but a vindictive part of me keeps whispering that Kiara and Dominic deserved every bit of torment. It's a conflicting swirl of anger, sadness, and a strange triumph. I spend the morning aimlessly tidying, tossing out leftover reminders of our shared life. Old receipts for date nights, random notes Kiara once left on the fridge. Each item stings with memory. My phone buzzes occasionally with messages from distant friends or acquaintances who've caught wind that we're separating. I ignore most of them, not ready to share details. By noon, I realize I can't isolate myself forever. I fish out my phone and text Owen, the one friend who knows enough about my ordeal. "Are you free tonight? I need a break from my own brain." He replies in minutes, suggesting we meet at the small sports bar near his place. That evening, the bar's neon signs reflect off wet pavement, making the street glow faintly. I slip inside to find Owen already at a booth with a half-finished cola. He stands, giving me a firm handshake and a sympathetic smile. "Rough week?" he asks quietly, though his eyes say he already knows. "Like you wouldn't believe," I mutter, sliding into the seat. The waitress ambles over, and I order a simple soda. Normally, I'd get a beer, but my nerves are raw enough without alcohol. Owen leans forward, voice low. "So Kiara's officially gone?" I nod, letting out a shaky breath. Packed her things, moved in with her parents. House feels unreal. It's what I wanted, but it's messing with my head. He listens intently. He's seen me at my best and worst. "Alistair, I've been there. After my own divorce, I felt like the floor vanished under me. But you'll adapt. Trust me. The key is to focus on yourself, not the anger or the betrayal." I scratch at the condensation on my glass. That's easier said than done. Part of me just wants to bury myself in work, or I don't know. My voice wobbles. But every time I stand still, I remember how she lied, how I stooped to blackmail. My mind keeps spinning. Owen's brow furrows. "That blackmail plan, do you think it'll ever bite you back?" I shift, uncomfortable. "Could, but Dominic's busy blaming Kiara, and Kiara's too rattled to suspect me. I have my share stashed away. No one's caught on." I blow out a breath. At least I'm not saddled with huge alimony, or losing the house outright. He nods slowly. "So you're financially stable?" "Stable enough," I admit. "I never wanted it to be this way, but at least I'm not ruined. She can't bleed me dry in a standard divorce. I have a shot at starting fresh." Owen's gaze softens. "Then maybe that's your best silver lining, man. You walked away with your finances intact. Now you can rebuild your life in your own image." I nod, half grateful for his encouragement. We spend another hour talking about anything but the affair work chatter, random childhood memories. By the time we part ways, I feel a fraction lighter, as if a friend's empathy can at least prop me up in these early days. That night, I return to the hushed darkness of my living room. The emptiness still weighs on me, but Owen's advice resonates. Maybe I can find a path forward that isn't defined solely by anger. For now, it's enough to recognize that I've survived the worst of the storm, even if my heart remains raw and uncertain. Days bleed into a strange new routine. I wake up alone, shuffle into the kitchen for coffee, and catch glimpses of our half-empty house. Boxed-up decor lingers by the walls as if waiting for a final move. The legal process of dissolving our marriage is underway, and part of that includes the fate of this property. One Monday morning, I stand at the front window, gazing at the neglected flower beds Kiara used to fuss over. A faint pang of nostalgia hits me, but practicality wins. We have to sell. It's the standard procedure in divorces here. Either one spouse buys out the other or we liquidate and split the profit. Since we both want a clean break, we'll list it. I call an old acquaintance, Marta, a real estate agent not connected to Kiara's firm. She arrives later that week, a professional smile on her face. She walks through the house, making notes, careful not to pry into my personal drama. She taps on a wall near the living room. Structurally sound. Could use a fresh coat of paint, she comments in a neutral tone. We can stage it lightly. I know a local stager who's reasonably priced. Sure, I reply, arms folded. Let's do what we need to do. By the time she leaves, we have a tentative plan to put it on the market within 2 weeks. I stare at the empty living room and wonder if these walls remember all the laughter and arguments. Soon enough, it'll be someone else's domain. My shift at the superstore grows more intense as I pick up extra hours to distract myself. On a Wednesday night, my manager Clarence pulls me aside while I'm restocking electronics. He's a middle-aged man with a calm demeanor, known for noticing employees' potential. Alistair, Clarence says gently, I know you've had a tough personal time, but I've watched your focus at work. You handle crises well. Keep the team in line. I see leadership qualities. I blink, not expecting praise. Thanks, I'm just doing my job. He nods. I'd like to start training you on some managerial tasks, if you're up for it. Inventory oversight, scheduling, that kind of thing. A stir of surprise and gratitude ripples through me. Really? You think I'm ready? His smile is reassuring. Yeah, you've earned it. Let's see how you handle more responsibility. After he walks away, a cautious excitement fills me. Maybe this is a chance to channel my restless energy into something productive. If my personal life crashed, I can at least build a professional future on my own merits. That night, as I leave the store close to midnight, I find myself lingering in the parking lot. For the first time since Kiara left, I allow a small spark of hope. I imagine myself climbing the ranks, maybe transferring to a better position, perhaps even opening a small business someday. The blackmail fiasco aside, I have financial stability. There's nothing tying me down except my own guilt and heartbreak. Before heading home, I stop by a nearby diner. The fluorescent lights reveal a handful of late-night patrons. I take a seat at the counter, sipping coffee that's too strong. My mind drifts to future possibilities. Renovating a small place for myself, maybe going back to college classes, or exploring a side hustle. Dreams that once felt overshadowed by my marriage suddenly appear within reach. I catch my reflection in the diner window, noticing a weariness around my eyes. New start, I whisper, as if speaking to the ghost of my old self. The path ahead is far from clear, but for the first time, I sense I might be able to outrun my resentment and shape a life on my own terms. A crisp Tuesday morning arrives, bringing with it the final steps of our divorce settlement. I receive an email from Kiara's attorney confirming a date at a neutral conference room for signing the paperwork. My stomach clenches. This is the official legal end to our marriage. The day of, I walk into a small law office downtown, the walls lined with tired law books. Kiara is already there, seated beside her attorney, a sharp-eyed woman wearing a neat gray suit. Kiara looks tense, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her eyes flicking up as I enter. There's a flash of something regret or sadness on her face. My own attorney, a man named Charles Reed, greets me with a curt nod. We settle into chairs around a rectangular table. Papers, disclaimers, bullet points about assets, it's painfully formal. A hush falls as we start reviewing the terms. The house is up for sale. Once sold, we'll split the proceeds according to an agreed percentage. Kiara waives spousal support. Personal properties are divided. My car is fully mine. No mention of blackmail or hidden finances, as both sides choose to keep that secret. Kiara signs her name in tight, careful strokes. I sign next, feeling a strange sense of finality in each pen stroke. When we're done, Charles glances at me and nods. Kiara's lawyer stiffens as if expecting an outburst or last-minute demands. But I remain silent. We've all known from the start that Dominic's hush-hush finances complicate everything, but neither side is eager to air that dirty laundry. Kiara likely wants to avoid further scandal, and I certainly don't want the cops rummaging into the blackmail situation. Standing up from the table, Kiara's gaze briefly meets mine. I thank you for not making this uglier, she murmurs. Her voice wavers. I know I don't deserve kindness, but I appreciate it. I swallow the lump in my throat. We both just want to move on, I reply evenly. The lawyers step aside to gather documents, giving us a moment of privacy. She hesitates, as if wanting to say more. Finally, she speaks in a low tone. Alistair, I'm sorry for how everything ended. If I could take it back, I would. Her eyes brim with unshed tears. I loved you, in my own messed up way, and I never meant for it to hurt so much. I exhale shakily. Part of me aches to recall the good times we once shared, but the betrayal still slices too deep. I know, I manage quietly, but sometimes sorry isn't enough. Her tears slip free then. She nods, wiping them away hastily. Good luck, she whispers, her voice trembling. I hope you find happiness. I can't manage a response. Instead, I turn to leave, half lost in the swirl of emotions. Is there relief? Absolutely. But my heart still clenches with a dull ache, aware that I once thought we'd grow old together, and now we're strangers signing legal forms. She's paying for her choices, and I'm free but not unscathed. I step out into the hallway, feeling the rush of cool air from an overhead vent. My attorney mumbles something about finalizing records, but I barely hear him. All I know is that the divorce is done. My phone vibrates with a message from Marta, the real estate agent. Potential buyer interested. Let's schedule a showing for Saturday. Clutching the phone, I realize how swiftly life keeps moving, unstoppable. There's no going back. With the settlement and Kiara's apology, the story of our marriage has reached its final page. Back home, my home, for now I set my keys on the kitchen counter and stare around. The faint echo of emptiness still hovers, but something feels different. The legal weight is lifted. Kiara and I are no longer tethered by marriage. As the relief edges in, a new question arises. What now? I wake up the next morning with a plan. See a counselor. Owen gently suggested it, and though I used to shrug off the idea, I realize I need help processing the betrayal. Around midday, I drive to a small clinic on the outskirts of town, half nervous about baring my soul. In the dimly lit waiting area, I fiddle with a magazine until a soft-voiced receptionist leads me to a private room. Dr. Ellison, a middle-aged therapist with kind eyes, greets me. We settle into chairs, and she asks gentle, open-ended questions about my recent experiences. Talking about Kiara's betrayal is painful, but Dr. Ellison listens without judgment, offering me ways to handle guilt, anger, and the sense of loss. I leave the session feeling unburdened, albeit drained. For once, it seems possible to clear the mental fog rather than carry it around like a secret burden. The days slip by in a calmer rhythm. I donate old clothes, rearrange furniture, and quietly prepare for the house sale. Each minor act of decluttering feels like a step toward reclaiming my space. Clarence at work steadily trains me on managerial tasks, writing staff schedules, reviewing weekly inventory logs. I enjoy the responsibility. It distracts me from regrets. One night, after a late shift, I treat myself to a new laptop. At home, I toy with the idea of online business courses. The seed of ambition sprouts. Maybe I could open a specialty shop one day or climb the superstore hierarchy to become a regional manager. The possibilities spark a small thrill. In a reflective moment, I also examine the blackmail money. It's hidden safely, and I'm keenly aware it's tainted. But I rationalize that it's a form of compensation for Kiara and Dominic's betrayal. If I invest it wisely, maybe in a secure stock portfolio or a future business, I can turn that dark windfall into something constructive. During a casual lunch with Owen, I mention these new directions. I'm looking at taking some business electives online, I say, swirling a straw in my soda. I want to keep my mind growing, not just stay stuck. He smiles. That's the best news I've heard from you in a while. So you're letting go of the bitterness? I pause, considering. Trying to. I won't pretend it vanished. I still get angry flashes remembering everything, but I can't let it define me forever. He lifts his glass in a mock toast. Amen to that. Leaving the cafe, I feel a subtle sense of optimism. The old resentment doesn't vanish overnight, but I no longer let it rule me. Kiara's betrayal might shape a piece of who I am, but it won't consume my future. Step by careful step, I'm rewriting my life. I first notice how much my life has changed when I look around the half-empty house one last time. The sale is nearly final, and Marta says we'll close next week. As I wait for the official documents, my phone buzzes an email from Clarence, my manager at the superstore, confirming an interview for the store manager training program. My pulse jumps with excitement and a tinge of anxiety. This is the step I've been preparing for. That same day, I drive to the corporate office building for a preliminary interview. The fluorescent-lit reception area doesn't exactly scream glamour, but it's a gateway to something bigger. I sit on a stiff couch, reviewing notes on my phone, leadership skills, conflict resolution, inventory oversight. My mind flickers to the fiasco with Kiara and Dominic, but I shove it away. This is about my future now. The interview panel is smaller than I expect, just Clarence and an HR rep named Darla. They ask me about my experience running shifts, handling store emergencies. I speak confidently about reorganizing late-night inventory, training new hires, stepping in when chaos hits the front registers. Their nods and smiles suggest I'm on the right track. Clarence folds his hands on the table. Alistair, I've watched you handle stress well, even through personal hurdles. His voice is gentle, but I sense the underlying praise. We think you'd excel in our manager track. Are you ready for the added responsibility? A flicker of pride warms my chest. I am, I answer simply. Because after everything I've survived, a store full of employees and a heavy workload seems manageable. On my way home, I stop at a quiet suburban bank branch where I hold a private safety deposit box. Inside is the black duffel, now replaced by neatly banded cash from the blackmail scheme. It still feels surreal to handle it blood money in a sense, yet also the reason I avoided losing half my assets in the divorce. I deposit a chunk into a new investment account. The teller, a middle-aged woman with polite professionalism, doesn't ask questions. I keep it discreet, splitting the funds into smaller amounts. In the car afterward, I stare at the receipt, heart pounding. I tell myself I'm investing, forging security out of the ashes. Guilt still gnaws at me sometimes, but I push it aside. If Kiara and Dominic wanted to cheat me out of my home, I see no sin in flipping the script. Later that night, I curl up on the couch in my near-empty living room, laptop glowing on the coffee table. A swirl of contradictory thoughts churn in my head. Have I become too ruthless? Did I cross a line that turned me into a version of myself I'll regret down the road? I remember once, years ago, holding Kiara's hand under star-drenched skies, both of us dreaming about a stable future. Now I'm here, alone, with a bag of illicit money turned investment. The bitterness is there, but so is a sense of vindication. Maybe I did slip into darkness, but in a strange way it feels necessary, my act of survival in a marriage that would have devoured me. I exhale slowly, shutting the laptop. This new beginning might not be pristine, but it's my chance to chart a path that no longer hinges on betrayal or illusions. I drift off with a faint hope in my chest, ready for whatever tomorrow holds. The store manager track is just the beginning. I decide where I go next. The following week, I officially hand over the house keys to the buyers. The property we once called home now belongs to a young couple who seem thrilled about raising their kids there. I can't help a bittersweet smile. Maybe they'll fill the walls with happier memories than Kiara and I ever could. A few days later, as I'm locking up the superstore after a late shift, Benito calls. Hey, Alistair, he says, voice low. Figured you'd want an update. Dominic's in serious legal trouble. Word is, mister. Birch found massive discrepancies in the real estate agency's books, and Dominic's being investigated for embezzlement. Helena kicked him out, and her lawyers are pushing for a swift divorce. I lean against a storefront column, a chill in the evening air. That doesn't surprise me, I murmur. My mind drifts to the day I discovered Dominic's hidden finances. This is the natural fallout. Any mention of Kiara in that mess? Not much, Benito admits. She's implicated in the sense that she was close to Dominic, but no direct charges. Seems she's keeping her head down. I swallow, remembering how thoroughly Kiara's career went up in flames after her affair was exposed. She lost her job, her reputation. I can almost picture her drifting from place to place, wearing the regret on her face like a scar. Part of me sympathizes. The rest remains numb. She chose this path. That night, my phone buzzes again around 11 p.m. The screen flashes a number I don't recognize. I answer cautiously, a shaky voice on the other end. Alistair, it's me. Kiara. My heart jolts. She explains haltingly that she's living in a small rental an hour away, scrounging for freelance real estate gigs. "I'm not calling to beg," she murmurs. I guess I wanted to say I'm sorry again." I'm silent, leaning back against the armrest of my couch. She breathes shallowly. "I regret everything, you know. The lies, the way I hurt you. If there's any chance," I cut her off gently, my tone calm. "Kiara, I've moved on. We both need to keep moving. I'm not angry anymore, but there's nothing left to fix between us." She lets out a fragile sigh. "I understand." There's a pause, then, "Take care." Before I can respond, she ends the call. For a moment I stare at the phone, a swirl of nostalgia and relief flickering through me. Perhaps the best kindness I can offer is to let her go, remain distant. Going back is impossible. We're both stepping into separate futures now, shaped by our own consequences. I power down my phone, lying awake in the darkness. The past's echoes still resonate, but I won't let them drown me. Dominic and Kiara chose a path that left them in ruins. I stepped off that road, forging a survival route all my own. Weeks morph into a gentler rhythm. I rent a compact but comfortable apartment closer to the superstore. Sunlight filters through modest windows each morning, illuminating the new furniture I bought on sale. No traces of my old marriage remain, no shared photos, no memories haunting the walls. I realize I'm starting to savor the small freedoms. Cooking a late-night meal without thinking of someone else's schedule. Rearranging the living room on a whim, playing music on my phone's speakers without worrying about Kiara's taste. Some nights, I even indulge in a quiet walk around the neighborhood, letting the crisp air clear my thoughts. On one such walk, I spot a flyer for a local adult league softball team pinned to a community board. I used to love baseball as a kid. Why not pick it up again? The idea lodges in my mind some physical outlet that isn't just the gym. I take a picture of the flyer, thinking I might sign up. A couple of afternoons later, in the break room at work, I chat with Callie, a new cashier. She's studying marketing at a nearby college, working part-time to cover tuition. We bond over the frustration of dealing with clueless customers. As the conversation flows, I sense a spark, nothing huge, but enough to remind me I'm still human, still capable of forging connections. She laughs at one of my sarcastic remarks about store promotions. Her eyes crinkle in a way that's comforting. "You're funny," she says. "But you always look like there's a lot on your mind." I offer a faint smile. "I guess I've been through some heavy stuff, but I'm getting better." She nods, returning a gentle smile. In that brief moment, the possibility of letting someone in flits across my thoughts. I'm not ready to dive into anything serious, but it's a hint of hope that I'm not forever trapped in bitterness. Later that night, I stand at my tiny apartment's kitchen counter, scrolling through photos on my phone. Most are new store events, random snapshots of the city. I realize I no longer cling to those old pictures of Kiara and me. I parted ways with them, physically and emotionally. The next day, I muster the courage to sign up for that softball league. It's a simple step, but feels monumental, a promise that I'm actively building a life that belongs to me alone. That weekend, I show up to the field in the early morning, heart thumping in my chest. The players seem friendly, a ragtag mix of amateurs. I introduce myself, explaining I haven't played in years. They welcome me warmly, laughing when I nervously throw the ball. It's a small act, but by the end of practice, my muscles ache and my mind feels clearer than it has in months. I hop into my car, sweaty and grinning, struck by the realization that life can be good, maybe simpler, maybe more authentic when I step out of the shadows of betrayal. I might never fully erase what happened with Kiara and Dominic, but the sting is dulling. Every day is a chance to shape a future that I choose. A crisp, sunny afternoon finds me back at the old neighborhood by choice, for the first time since the house sold. I was in the area for a supply run, and a pull of curiosity made me detour down the street where I once lived with Kiara. The new owners have painted the front door a bright teal, and the yard is alive with seasonal flowers. It looks fresh, like a chapter begun by someone else. I park across the street and let the engine idle. I don't plan on approaching the house or speaking to the occupants, just a quiet goodbye. Memories flicker. That day Kiara showed me the listing. Her excitement about the hardwood floors, the nights we spent planning a future here, then the betrayal, the blackmail, the entire whirlwind that ended our marriage. It hits me that I feel no urge to go inside. This is no longer my home. On the passenger seat sits a small box containing the last reminder of that dark time, a battered old burner phone. My chest tightens, recalling how I used it to torment Kiara and Dominic, draining them of money. My reasons felt justified then, and maybe they still do. But I'm ready to let that part of me go. I take the phone, remove its battery, and toss the pieces into a paper bag. With a slow breath, I open the door, walk to a nearby trash bin, and drop them in. The clang of metal echoes, reverberating through the quiet street. A strange lightness blooms in my chest. Symbolic farewell, indeed. Before driving off, I take a final glance at the teal-painted door. Everything from the heartbreak to the rage to the uneasy victory flickers through my mind. I'm not naive enough to think I'll forget it all, but I'm done letting it weigh me down. My life is unburdened now. No more secrets, no more illusions. I slip back into the driver's seat, fingers trembling slightly on the wheel. The sun glints through the windshield, almost too bright. As I pull away, I think of how drastically my path diverged from what Kiara and I once planned, yet I recognize a fierce resilience in myself. I overcame betrayal and orchestrated justice in my own morally ambiguous way. Now I've turned a corner, stepping forward with hope instead of hurt. I head back toward my apartment, the future unfolding like an open road. The store manager program awaits, the potential for further education, the new softball teammates, even the spark of a social life beyond heartbreak. I sense that all the threads of my life, painful and triumphant, have woven into something stronger. Not perfect, but undeniably mine. And so I drive on, the final remnants of my past left behind in that trash bin. If I learned anything, it's that closure isn't a moment, it's a choice made over and over. Each day, I commit to rewriting my story, forging a future free from old shadows. As the city skyline rises in the distance, my chest feels lighter, my mind calmer. Whatever comes next, I'm ready.